46% of Americans die with less than $10,000 to their name. Not gamblers, not spend-it-all celebrities, regular people who worked for 40 years. Diana is 34 and she has no idea she's on that list. She earns $62,000 a year at a logistics company in Columbus, Ohio. She has a decent car, a decent apartment, and $1,100 in savings. By every visible measure, she is doing fine. So was almost everyone in that 46%. Here's what nobody tells you. Dying poor in America rarely looks like poverty on the way there. It looks like a normal paycheck, a normal car payment, and a normal life, right up until the money stops. Diana shares an office with two other women. Maya is 28, and she saves whatever is left over each month into a bank account. Carla is 32, and she does something slightly different. A boring trick that takes zero willpower. Same office, similar paychecks. Today we run their numbers 40 years forward. One of them ends up with over $600,000. One ends up with almost nothing. And the difference isn't discipline, income, or luck. It's one rule. Before we meet them properly, understand what's actually at stake here. The median retirement account in America, among people who even have one, holds $38,176. At a 4% withdrawal rate, that generates about $127 a month. $127 a month. That is a utility bill, not a retirement. Meanwhile, half of all adults aged 55 to 66 have no personal retirement savings at all. Not a small balance. Zero. And 1 in 5 of the oldest Americans dies completely broke. Most people assume this happens to somebody else. Low earners, reckless spenders, people who never got a fair shot. The data says otherwise. Nearly half of Americans earning 6 figures now report living paycheck to paycheck. The trap was never income. The trap is a sequence. A specific order of operations that most Americans run every payday without ever noticing they chose it. Run that sequence for 40 years and you land in the 46%. Flip it, and the same paycheck quietly builds a fortune. Diana runs the default sequence. Maya fights it with willpower, and willpower loses more months than it wins. Carla flipped it at 24, by accident, and it made her over $500,000. Not because she's smarter. Not because she earns more. She doesn't. Here's what the data shows. Meridian Logistics sits in an office park on the east side of Columbus. Fluorescent lights, gray cubicles, a break room with a coffee machine from 2011. John has worked there for 23 years. He's 52 now, the operations director. Salt and pepper beard, glasses, the guy who actually reads the benefits paperwork. And for 23 years, John has watched the same story repeat with different faces. So let's meet the 3 faces this story follows. Let's keep this fair. All 3 women work the same floor, in the same city, with the same cost of living. Nobody here has a trust fund. Nobody has an inheritance coming. Diana, 34, earns $62,000 a year. Take home about $3,900 a month. Rent takes $1,350. Her car payment takes $460. Student loans take $310. Credit card minimums take $270. What's left goes to living, and living always takes all of it. Her savings account holds $1,100. It has held roughly that number for 6 years. Maya, 28, earns $58,000. Take home about $3,700 a month. Maya is the responsible one, and everyone knows it. She has a high-yield savings account paying 4%. Her plan is simple. Spend carefully, and at the end of the month, save whatever survived. Some months that's $400, some months it's $0. Her balance after 5 years of genuine effort, $9,400. Carla, 32, earns $61,000, $1,000 less than Diana. Her retirement balance is $71,000. She checks it maybe 4 times a year. She has never made a budget in her life. Hold that thought, because it's going to matter. Diana's father, Ray, retired last spring from 35 years at a plant. Pension check, Social Security check, paid-off house. His advice to Diana is warm, confident, and completely obsolete. You're young, he says. House first, family first, the saving figures itself out later. It did figure itself out for Ray. His employer did the saving for him automatically every week for 35 years. That machine was called a pension, and for Diana's generation, the machine is gone. Nothing replaced it except one checkbox on a new hire form. Most people never look at it. John looked at it once, at age 40. What he found scared him badly enough to change everything. $22,000. That was his entire balance at 40 after 18 years of working. He remembers the exact feeling. 18 years of showing up, and the number fit inside a used pickup truck. That night, he sat at his kitchen table with a calculator and a legal pad. He ran his own numbers to age 65, and the answer came back, broke by 71. Not poorish, broke. So John rebuilt his system from scratch, And over the next 12 years, the same salary that produced $22,000 produced over $300,000. Same job, same paychecks, different order. What he learned is the spine of this entire video. Watch how differently the three women handle the same Friday. Diana's paycheck lands and starts sprinting. By noon, she's paid 2 bills and ordered lunch delivery. Maya's paycheck lands and she opens her banking app, calculates, hesitates, and promises herself she'll move money after the weekend. Carla's paycheck lands and $400 is already gone before her alarm goes off. She notices nothing because there is nothing to notice. 3 women, 1 payday, 3 trajectories. Maya even has a ritual for it. First Saturday of the month, she visits the branch on Cleveland Avenue, and a polite teller in a powder blue shirt moves whatever Maya decided she could spare. The teller has watched Maya's deposits shrink from $400 to $250 to sometimes nothing. She is too kind to mention it. Rituals feel like systems. They aren't. A ritual depends on the mood of the person performing it. A system doesn't ask. 3 women, 3 systems, spend first, save what's left, or pay yourself first. 40 years from now, those 3 systems produce 3 wildly different numbers. Let's run them. Here's what nobody tells you about retirement statistics. The average is doing public relations. Headlines love the average 401k balance. This year, it hit a record $148,153. Sounds almost comfortable. But the median balance, the middle person, holds $38,176. Why the gap? Because averages are dragged upward by a small group of very large accounts. Put 9 people in a room with Jeff. Jeff has $1 million. The 9 others have $20,000 each. The average balance in that room is $118,000. 9 out of 10 people in the room are nowhere near it. That room is America's retirement system. The average describes almost nobody. The median tells the truth, and the truth is $38,000. Stretch $38,000 across a 25-year retirement. That's $127 a month at a safe withdrawal rate. And remember, that median only counts people who have an account. Half of Americans aged 55 to 66 have no retirement savings whatsoever. When Diana hears the average, she files herself under fine. She is not fine. She's below the median, and the median is already a slow-motion emergency. Most people never do this next step, so do it now. Ask what your own number actually is. Not the number you feel, the number on the screen. Diana finally looked one Tuesday at lunch because John wouldn't drop the subject. Her old employer's plan held $4,300. She'd guessed $20,000. Most people guess high, the way most people rate themselves above average drivers. The account doesn't care what you guess, because the 46% didn't get there by checking too often. They got there one unopened statement at a time. Most people think they have a spending problem. They actually have a sequencing problem. Watch Diana's payday. $1,950 lands on Friday morning. By Monday, it has been claimed. Rents share. Cars share, loans, cards, groceries, gas, 1 dinner out, 2 subscriptions she forgot she has. Whatever remains at month's end is her savings plan, and whatever remains is reliably, mathematically close to 0. Diana's system is an equation. Income minus spending equals savings. It feels responsible. It fails almost everyone who runs it, because spending is a gas. It expands to fill every dollar you let it see. Economists watch this at national scale. The American personal saving rate today sits near 4.6%. In the early 1980s, it was roughly 10%. We didn't triple our greed. We moved to frictionless spending and left saving as the leftover. Leftovers starve. Now flip the equation. Income minus savings equals spending. Same paycheck, same person. The savings leave first. Automatically, the morning money arrives. Spending gets whatever remains, and here's the strange part. Spending adapts. $400 leaves Carla's paycheck before she wakes up. She has never once felt the missing $400 because she never sees it. Her lifestyle simply formed around what was visible. That is the entire secret, and it costs nothing. The order of 2 subtractions. John draws this for new hires on a whiteboard. 2 lines, 90 seconds. Line 1, 62,000 in, 62,000 out, 0 kept. Line 2, 62,000 in, 6,200 rerouted, 55,800 to live on. Then he asks the room a question. Could you survive on 55,800? Everyone nods. Of course they could. Millions of people live on far less in the same zip code. So the 10% was never impossible, he says. It was just last in line. Run the numbers on Diana's order. 0 saved per month, 40 years, any interest rate you like. 0 compounds to 0. The sequence is the trap, not the salary. Here's what actually happens when you wait 5 years. Compounding is not a gentle slope. It's a hockey stick and the blade is at the end. $500 a month earning 8% from age 25 to 65 becomes roughly $1.55 million. Start the identical 500 at 35, and you get about $680,000. Start at 45, $275,000. Read those again. The last 20 years of contributions built $250,000. The first 10 years you skipped were worth almost $900,000. Every year of delay in your 20s costs roughly $87,000 at the far end. That is the most expensive procrastination on earth. This is also where Maya's story turns quietly tragic. Maya saves, genuinely, but her money sits in a savings account at 4%. The market feels like gambling to her, so growth never gets invited. $500 a month at 4% for 37 years grows to about $490,000. The same money in a boring index fund averaging 8% grows to roughly $1.2 million. Same sacrifice, same discipline. $700,000 of difference donated to caution. To be clear, her emergency fund belongs in that savings account. 3 to 6 months of expenses, liquid and safe. But every dollar beyond it is a seed she's storing in a drawer instead of planting. Time does the heavy lifting in this game. Money you invest at 25 carries 40 harvests. At 45, it carries only 20 harvests. The window doesn't close. It just gets brutally more expensive every single year you stand outside it. And if you're 35 or 45 right now, hear this clearly. The math above is not a verdict on you. $275,000 is not nothing. Starting today still beats starting next year by tens of thousands of dollars. The most expensive year of delay is always the next one. Most people celebrate a raise twice, once when they get it and once a month forever in payments. In March, Diana gets promoted, $4,000 more per year, about $260 a month after tax. Within 3 weeks, a salesman at a dealership on Morse Road is walking her past a $41,000 SUV. He's friendly. He talks payments, never price. Watch his sequence because it's a mirror image of the good one. He asks what she wants her monthly payment to be. Not what the car costs, not what the loan costs. Just the monthly number, because the monthly number is the only one designed to feel small. 7.9% over 72 months, $716 a month. You've earned this, he smiles. He slides the paper across the desk with the payment circled and the price in fine print. Her old payment was $460. The new one eats the entire raise, plus $60 of insurance she didn't ask about. Total interest over the loan, $10,500. The raise is gone. It will keep being gone for 6 years. Her friend from marketing approves. You only live once, he shrugs, and he means it kindly. This is lifestyle creep, and it is the reason income cannot save you. Every raise triggers a quiet auction for your new dollars, and comfort always bids first. It's why nearly half of six-figure households report living paycheck to paycheck. They didn't fail to earn. They upgraded exactly as fast as they earned. Here's the countermove, and it's painless. Split every raise the moment it lands. Half to your future, automatically. Half to your lifestyle, guilt-free. Diana's $260, split that way, is $130 a month invested for 30 years. Roughly $190,000, or one SUV that will be worth $11,000 when the loan ends. Same raise. One future has a fortune in it. The other has a used car. Most people believe saving is a discipline problem. The data quietly disagrees. Maya has willpower, real willpower. Every month, her plan is to walk her leftover money into a transfer. Her bank's app even reminds her. Last year, she managed it 7 months out of 12. Not because she's weak, because manual saving asks you to remake the same hard decision 12 times a year, forever. Miss a reminder, cover a car repair, host one Thanksgiving, and the streak breaks. Her intended $400 a month averaged out to $233. Now look at what happens when nobody has to decide. When companies enroll workers into retirement plans automatically, about 94% stay in. When the same companies make workers sign themselves up, participation drops to roughly half. Same humans, same paychecks, same match on the table. The only change is the default. This is one of the most repeated findings in behavioral economics, and it should offend you a little. It means millions of retirements are being decided by the layout of a form. John sees it every single January at Meridian. A stack of enrollment packets goes out to new hires. The ones hired under the old opt-in system, about half ever returned the form. The ones hired after the company switched to automatic enrollment, nearly all of them are still contributing years later. Nobody got more disciplined between those 2 Januaries. The paperwork just started working for people instead of against them. Read that as a life instruction because that's what it is. You will never out-discipline a bad system. You can only out-design it. Willpower is a battery. Every visible dollar drains it. Automation is a wall socket. It never gets tired, never has a rough week, never skips Thanksgiving. Carla saves more than Maya every single year, and Carla tries less. Effort isn't the input that matters. Architecture is. Run the numbers on the gap. Maya's actual $233 a month versus her intended $400. Over 35 years at 8% is a difference of about $340,000. A third of $1,000,000 lost not to spending, but to remembering. Here's the sentence Diana says that should worry you. I'll always have Social Security. She's not wrong that it exists. She's wrong about its size. The average retired worker check in 2026 is $2,071 a month. That is about $24,850 a year total. The program was engineered to replace roughly 40% of your working income. Nobody lives on 40%. Diana's rent alone is $1,350. Do her retirement math with nothing but that average check. She'll need around $4,100 a month to keep her current life. Social Security covers $2,071. The gap is $2,029 a month, every month, for the rest of her life. Covering that gap safely requires about $600,000 in savings. The median American arrives at retirement with $38,000. That pot covers the gap for about 19 months. Month 20 is where the 46% statistic is born. And one more trap hides inside the trap. Claim that check at 62 instead of your full retirement age, and it shrinks by as much as 30% permanently. People with no savings don't get to choose when to claim. Empty accounts claim early, lock in the smaller check, and live on it for 30 years. The people who saved get to wait, and waiting grows the check 8% per year until 70. Even Social Security pays the prepared more. This is why her father's confidence is so dangerous. Ray's pension paid him $1,850 a month for showing up. His generation had 3 legs under the stool: pension, Social Security, savings. Diana's stool has one government leg and whatever leg she builds herself. Half her generation is building nothing, while planning a retirement that assumes somebody will, nobody will. The check that's coming is real, and it is not enough. The difference has to exist in an account with your name on it. Or the last decades of your life get decided by whatever's left. One more leak remains, and this one wears a suit and a tie. Even people who save and invest can quietly lose a third of their fortune. Not to a crash, to a line item. Here's the math nobody reads. A 1% annual advisory fee sounds like a tip. Run it over 40 years of compounding, and it consumes roughly 28% of your final balance. On a $1 million trajectory, that's about $280,000, paid for the privilege of being sold to. Compare 2 funds tracking the same market. An index fund charging 0.03%. An actively managed fund charging 1%, 40 years, $500 a month, same market return before costs. The cheap fund finishes ahead by hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it did less work. Remember Carla's advisor, the one with the red tie and the whole life brochure? The policy he pitched carried commissions and internal costs that would have swallowed most of her early premiums. Her one question, "What does this cost me over 40 years in dollars?" is the most profitable sentence in this entire video. Ask it about every financial product you're ever offered. If the person selling can't answer in a number, the number is bad. The rule of thumb is short. Fees compound exactly like returns, but in reverse. 0.1% is fine. 0.5% is questionable. 1% over a working lifetime is a luxury car handed to a stranger. Keep the machine boring and cheap. Broad index funds, single-digit expense ratios, no products you can't explain to a 12-year-old. The 46% lost slowly. Don't tip the casino on your way out. Now the reveal you've been waiting for. What is Carla's secret? Here it is. Carla is bad with money, genuinely. She impulse buys concert tickets. She has never tracked a grocery budget. She could not tell you what she spent last month because she has never once checked. Carla will outsave 90% of America anyway. At 24, her first employer auto-enrolled her at 6%, with automatic 1% raises each year. She was too busy to opt out. That's it. That's the origin story. Laziness pointed in the right direction. When she changed jobs at 27, she noticed something. The missing money had never hurt. So she copied the machine on purpose. 10% into her 401k with the match. $200 into a Roth IRA automatically every payday morning. One advisor tried to redirect her once. Dark suit, red tie, a glossy brochure about a whole life policy. She asked him exactly one question. What does this cost me over 40 years in dollars? He never gave her a number. She kept her boring index funds. Here's the twist this whole story has been building toward. The people who die with money are not the disciplined ones. Study after study, dataset after dataset says the same uncomfortable thing. The winners simply made fewer decisions. They chose once, automated it, and let 4 decades of autopilot do what willpower cannot. Diana decides every month and loses. Maya decides every month and wins 7 times out of 12. Carla decided once, 8 years ago, you will never out-discipline a bad system. You can only out-design it. So here is the one rule in plain words: pay yourself first. The morning money arrives, a fixed percentage leaves automatically into accounts that grow. 15% is the target, 6% is a fine start. 1% is infinitely better than a plan to start next year. Not the leftovers, not when things calm down. First, always automatically. Carla's autopilot, $400 a month at a 5% real return, lands at about $613,000 by 65. In today's dollars. Diana's system lands at about $1,100. Maya lands near $290,000 because she eventually automated too. 7 years late, those 7 years cost her roughly $180,000. Same offices, same city, same sized paychecks. The only variable was who had to keep choosing. One quotable sentence, then, to carry out of here. Discipline decides once. Poverty gets redecided every payday. Write your version of the decision down tonight, because tomorrow the sequence resets, and the default sequence never rests. So here's what to actually do, and notice it takes one evening. Log into your payroll or your bank tonight. Set an automatic transfer for the morning after every payday. A percentage, not a dollar amount, so every future raise saves itself. Order matters. Grab any employer match first. That's 100% return. Then a Roth IRA. Then a high-yield emergency fund until it holds 3 to 6 months. Then increase the percentage by 1 every year and go live your life. No app to buy, no course to enroll in, no guru required. The whole machine is one form and one decision you make once. The most important financial decision you can make is knowing one difference. The difference between a strategy that's right for you and a strategy that's right for someone else. Your cousin's crypto is not a plan. A salesman's payment quote is not a plan. Your father's pension world is gone, and pretending otherwise is how half a generation arrives at 66 with nothing. Do the math. Make the decision that matches your reality, not someone else's sales pitch. 46% of Americans die with less than $10,000. Not because they earned too little, because the leftovers were the plan. Pay yourself first, automatically, forever. That single boring sentence is the difference between the two endings of this story.